Good evening and welcome to the Black Feather and Ospreys Rugby Fancast. And this is our Autumn International Special. Sorry we didn't pod last week like we intended to, guys, but life was kind of life-in for all of us. Rod was sunning himself and me and Mark were just,
Snoozing.
well, Mark fell asleep. I did like a mega heavy training session and gave myself a headache because I've been really good this year, keeping myself hydrated. I've been doing my like 3 litres of water a day. I think it's mainly because I've got really nice water bottles and Yeti cups. So I'm like, oh look, it makes it easier to drink the water. So I had a headache, took some tablets and retired to bed. But we are back a day later than we said we would be, because again, life was life in yesterday. But I'm kind of glad, lads, that we left it 24 hours because a lot has happened in those 24 hours, hasn't it?
Welsh rugby, eh? 24 hours is like a lifetime at the minute, isn't it?
It's the life cycle of a gnat. You probably know more about that, Rod, than I do. How old, like how long do they last?
Oh,
Like, is it
days
not
if they're
long?
lucky. Days if they're lucky, yeah.
There we are.
So, but a lot to get through. So we'll probably whiz through some stuff, skirt through others. But I think now our blood pressure has returned to normal. We need to talk about that Wales Japan game and that last minute
Yeah.
penalty by Jared Balls of Steel Bowen. I didn't see it. I was in the theatre. I was watching John Barrowman be Camp as Christmas, the name of his show, before anybody accuses me of being homophobic. But I watched the second half Sunday, and even though I knew the outcome, I was still kind of nervous. So it was quite
Yeah.
it was a big game for us because we needed it because of World Cup rankings. But how do you two feel that went on Saturday?
In the end, for me, it was more relief than joy. And I
Yeah.
have spoken to a couple of people who've since watched it back, and they can tap into the joyful element a little bit more. But in that moment there, it was just pure relief because I thought we were destined for another long losing streak looking ahead at the Six Nations and the other tournaments to come. I thought we were passing up an opportunity for, a rare win in today's climate for us. So yeah, a huge amount of relief. Upon reflection, a day or two or three afterwards, I'm able to look a lot more kindly on the performance. I think in the moment, I was really frustrated, and I thought we should have played a lot better. And Japan remain the better team on the day. That has not changed.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of just getting that first home win in a number of years, as well as getting some momentum and just having a bit of fun. I'm glad to see the boys, celebrating in the way that they were and taking the positives from what was a pretty sketchy performance.
I don't get the heat that they're getting for celebrating that
No,
and
not at all.
jumping on Jared. That took nerves of steel, that did. And we broke a 10-match losing streak at the stadium. So do you know what? Give them whatever little bit of joy that they've got, because with 5 minutes to go, we look dead and buried. We look done and dusted.
Yeah.
So to come back and snatch that, I would feel gutted if I was Japan. But do you know what? It took a little bit of character, and perhaps that's them starting to build the grit that they need to have that nerve to shut things
Yeah.
down, or to
Yeah.
perhaps get a
You
little
know,
bit more robust mentally and get
yeah.
back into that winning habit.
So I was really confused by my reaction at the end because I didn't feel anything when that kick went over. I
No.
think in years gone by, winning a game like that with the last kick of the game, I would have been leaping around the lounge, shouting and screaming, bothering everybody else in the house and the neighbours and everybody else. And I didn't feel anything. It was
Mm.
really weird. And it was about an hour later, I think, was when I first cracked a smile almost even. It was just a really weird feeling. Whether it's because, like you said, Rod, the performance wasn't the best, but maybe it was just fatigue of watching us lose for the past, 12, 18 months. Maybe there's, because of the expectation that was there that this was a game we should win and needed to win and did win. So it was kind of, okay, that's exactly what we should have done anyway. I don't think I've ever felt like that at the end of a game. It was really weird.
And the fact, Mark, that for large portions of that game, I had no hope that we could claim it back. It felt like we had so little foothold in the game that there was no way that we were going to be able to scratch any points out of it. So I think at about half time, I almost stopped. I stopped cheering. I wasn't invested in that game because I thought Japan were cutting so many lines through us, and we looked so toothless in attack that I thought it was almost assumed by 60 minutes that Japan were just going to win that game.
Just going to win.
So I almost stopped supporting in that moment. So by the time 80 minutes came and that kick went over, I was exactly like you. I was a bit placid. I didn't know what to make of the whole thing.
Emotionally drained.
But you can't begrudge the players. I mean, their reaction at the end was absolutely understandable. And like you said, Sam, I don't understand the criticism they had for that. They were a new team in lots of ways. There are lots of new faces that have just lost and lost and lost and lost and lost over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And then to pull out a win like that, what do you expect them to do? They're not going to do like I did and just wander off the pitch and go, oh, no, then we won. It was huge for the players, absolutely massive.
There are some serious fun sponges out there, and we can talk about performance, but there were glimmers of hope with some people who were playing. I think that try from Dan was great. I need to remind myself that when I'm celebrating a try, I can't just punch up in the air like that anymore. It's cold, it's damp, I got to play it in pens, it hurts. So I need to remind myself that I can't do that anymore. But, I really thought Dan's try was cracking. I thought he's really settling into the game. His game management's getting better. He's maturing.
In that moment, I thought we were going to run away with it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sam.
I got excited.
I was like, right, this is it.
After 30 seconds or whatever it was.
Yeah, come on. We're going to put 50 points on this.
Then that bubble got burst. But I think he needs time. I think we need to trust in him. He's 22 years old. He had composure. He was linking well with Thomas Williams. And I think give him time. Just give him time. Invest some time in him. Give him the game time. He's going to come on. He's the type of player that if you put time into him, he'll reward you back tenfold. His confidence is only going to get better. I think for me, Ollie Cracknell was good, top of the tree with regards to carries and up there with tackles. Alex Mann didn't do a bad job replacing Jack.
No, he was good.
They both made Wayno look quiet, didn't they?
Wayno had quite a poor game, didn't he?
Wainwright had a good game.
No,
I do not think we know his best position's not 6. But I think his performances at 6 are substantially lower than what people even really acknowledge. It disadvantages him in a way that I can't really put my finger on, but it removes the elements of his game that make him wonderful at times.
I think there's a lot there in terms of combinations. There's, like you said, Wayno at 6 isn't as good as Wayno at 8, so we haven't got the right back row combination there in terms of the 8 and the 6. Same thing in the centres. That combination isn't quite clicking. Back 3, not the right combination. It could be that we've got the right players in the back 3, just not in the right positions potentially. So there's a lot in that team that's not quite clicking at the minute. And I think going back to Dan, I think that relationship with Thomas Edwards is probably the one position on the pitch that has clicked as a unit.
It's working for me.
That 9-10 has gone really well. And, Dan, surely, even though there were some Twitter trolls out on Saturday night saying he should be dropped and Evan should start, Sheedy should start, whoever should start, I don't know what on earth more he could have done in the last 2 games, really, to show that he is the man going forward for Wales.
And
Well, it
that
was a
clutch
fair.
moment from Jared right at the very end, that I've heard some people almost presuming that puts him in the starting jersey for next weekend or coming weekend, sorry. That's not the case for me. What he's proven that he is a really valuable asset to have on the bench,
Good bench warmer.
providing that mentorship and that
Yeah,
guidance to Dan off the field, but then coming on in the final moments, being able to do and have the head to do stuff like that. It
yeah.
doesn't propel him ahead of Dan Edwards in my book, because Dan
Can you?
Edwards needs what he needs to learn. Sorry, Mark, I know you're
No,
trying to jump
no, I
in.
was going to say.
Is he needs to finesse his game management a bit, doesn't he? He's playing some lovely ball. He's spotting things that are on. He's putting people in the right places. He's taking opportunities for himself. But just that more wide, sort of really far out, looking down at the field of play
In the
type of
general.
game management. And the only time he'll get that is by putting in 60-minute sessions, not 20, 15-minute sessions at the end of the game. Over to you, Mark.
I was just going to make a horrible comment. Say, can you imagine Sheedy was on the bench rather than Evans?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my
Right,
God.
let's not now. Let's not. Let's not. Um, thought Tav Jenkins did a little bit better because we were a little bit uncertain of him, weren't we, at the start of the series, when we were like, he needs to up his game now. He needs to be a bit better. For me, I think you summed it up nicely, Rod, when you said if Scotland got a spare that they can give us at 15,
A spare
next to
king on.
Spain, spare King
Mhm.
Horn.
Yeah.
Blair Murray was just, oh God, I don't want to say it because I don't want to be negative, Nelly, but he was shocking. I like when I was doing my notes, I literally put, what the fuck? And like I said, pace finishes well, shit under high ball, and that gets exploited. And his tackling was not great. And I just put
Mhm.
question mark, is he a winger? I,
Yeah.
I don't I
Yeah,
don't know, because I'm not one of these who thinks, oh, he's only 5'9" or whatever, therefore he can't be within that position, because we know there are other fullbacks out there in the world who are exactly that height and that stature,
Mm.
who have that. I don't think his form for the Scarlets has kind of translated up to international level. And I suppose the same I could say for Ben Thomas and Max Llewellyn, really.
Mm.
I don't think Ben Thomas, and I'm not, like, this is not a Cardiff for me, I'm a dig thing. Ben Thomas is not a 12. He's not an international 12 for me at the minute. I'm sorry.
Mm.
Um,
He's a
we need a
lovely player, but I can't see where he fits in on the
no,
pitch, because
No.
what he's there to do, he's not doing very well at the
no.
moment. But I think what we need, he isn't. But what we need isn't really compatible with sort of Matt Sherratt style attack, where he likes that second ball player. We saw Nick Tompkins come on the weekend and change the game up and just be a bit more direct and carry into traffic. So. And that broke the game up at the end, didn't it? It allowed us to, partially down to him to, get a bit more parity in the game and go for that kick to the corner at the end and
Yeah,
give ourselves the opportunity to get that last penalty. So, yeah, I think the Ben Thomas experiment has failed, but I think we'll still see him in a Welsh jersey for
Oh yeah.
next game and maybe even the one after that.
I
yeah,
don't know what they're trying to do with Max Llewellyn either, really. I
Yeah.
mean, you'd
no,
think that he would be the big ball carrier in that back line. He's a big, sturdy lad. You'd expect him to be, being given ball on the gain line or running deep, at pace to try and cut lines. They're
he's
just not
just
using
not.
him like that at all. And yet when Tompkins came on, they did that with him time and time again, just in the short time that he was on, and you could see a difference in go forward from him straight away. And I don't know if it was necessarily Llewellyn's fault, because he just wasn't being given the ball in that way to
We
carry in
know
that
he's
way. It
capable
was
of
sort
more.
of tactical
Yeah.
rather than him doing anything wrong particularly. I don't know. It was just strange that in the way that they're using him at the moment. Thomas, I don't know. I mean, I know I went to bat for him, didn't I, when we did the initial team selection a couple of weeks ago for the Argentina game. Um, I still think there's something there. And again, I don't know whether it's just a case of flogging that combination of him and Dan and Llewellyn until it clicks or
Works.
doesn't. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But whether it needs a run of games to actually give it an opportunity to gel. We've spent years of, bringing in players, dumping them, getting rid of them, back in again, dumping them again. Whether we just need a bit of consistency in those positions just to see, can it gel? If by the end of the autumn it doesn't, then, we look for a different combination for Six Nations or whatever. We've got nothing to lose at this stage, I suppose. And he could flip that around the other side and say we've got nothing to lose by trying somebody completely different in the centres as well. So I don't know. I think there's something there with Ben Thomas still.
Only there was another 12 in Wales who was a bit of a ball carrier who could bash.
If only.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But we've got it was about an hour before we started recording. It was confirmed that Josh Adams' red card has been upheld. 3-match ban will be reduced to 2 if he goes to the intervention training. For me, what was he thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Someone of his age, his experience, what were you thinking?
He's always been like that, though.
Yeah, but it's pure stupidity.
Yes,
and you put us under a cosh. That meant we played a whole quarter of a game with 14 men.
Yeah. I think this is the biggest disappointment to Tandy, I think, over the 2 games, is those 2 sort of petulant acts, I suppose, by Ben Thomas and by Josh Adams. I think those 2 things across those 2 games will probably frustrate Tandy more than anything else because of the pressure that puts the team under. I know Ben Thomas got away with a yellow. Probably could have been way, way worse. And I know there's arguments on both sides on that one, but if he'd made contact, then it would have been, a sizable ban for him as well. And those kind of stupid, mindless decisions just put everybody else under pressure, and just put us out of the game for 10, 15 minutes. Because as much as we can't capitalise on when we're playing 14 men and 13 men, other teams seem to find it very easy to capitalise against us when we're in that position.
They do, yeah. And I just think that it was really, really stupid. And I thought he would have been smarter than that. Perhaps more fool me. But, we pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves off, and we live to fight another day against the All Blacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Scott Robinson's under a bit of pressure at the minute with the All Blacks because, let's face it, they're not performing as they should do.
I mean, I don't think there's been a month since he took that job where there haven't been calls for his head. The man's working under immense pressure, isn't it? But yeah, that's what comes with the territory.
Mm-hmm. But I think his problem is he's got a wealth of riches in that he's got multiple players he can pick from who are all international standard, but he's not getting those combinations right at the minute. So England obviously beat them on the weekend, and it pains me to say it, but it was a really bloody good performance by England. I think the Haka thing at the beginning got them a bit wound up. Mark, I don't know if you've seen this on
the Haka. I did, yeah. Well, what I mainly saw from the Haka was Henry Pollock licking his lips, which was a bit weird.
They decided to do a V formation. So Jamie George was like, we'll do a V formation. They knew they were going to get fined. They knew they were going to get fined for it. But you know what? As a nation, we've done it to them. Can you remember when we stared them out and we walked up to that halfway line and stared them out and it all got a bit testy? We've done it. So I don't mind fronting up to the Haka. What I don't like is like the singing over it and all of that. I think that is a little bit disrespectful. Fronting up, I'm not bothered. That's a pissing contest between men, as far as I'm concerned. But quite a big win for England. First time they've beaten them at home for 13 years or something along those lines. You can see how much it meant to England. You can see how much it meant to Pollock. Pollock's very much deserved his emerging breakthrough player of the year award for me. I know he's Marmite. I know a lot of people think he's cocky, but God, he's an impact player off that bench, and he brings a bit of something.
I mean, that entire bench is worth talking about.
Yeah,
How many Lions were on that bench? England playing the Rassi tactic of almost starting your second tier players. Not that Rassi has second tier players; he has about four sets of top tier players. But yeah, and starting with them, and then leaving your quote unquote your true starters on the bench to come on and just bring the
yeah,
impact in those final minutes when legs are tired. And it seems to be a recipe that works. Looks like Scott Robinson is doing something similar. He's often leaving some big boys on the bench to mighty. I can't remember his name now. I apologise. But also DMAC on the bench. It seems to be a bit more of a tactic at the moment to try and just claim 3 tries in the last quarter.
yeah.
I think it showed the gulf of expectation between us and England as well, but they both were under immense pressure if they didn't beat the All Blacks on Saturday, whereas we're delighted to scrape a win against Japan. So I think it shows, the expectation.
I'm going to be delighted if they score less than 70 points against us.
Yeah, but Borthwick isn't universally loved, is he, amongst England fans? There's a lot of questions that people still have around him and his suitability to take that team forward, but I think Saturday would have put a lot of that to bed, I think.
Yeah, and credit to George Ford and his just pragmatic rugby. I've no doubt that was all his genius, in those final moments of the first half to just drop those 2 drop goals. I'm sure that wouldn't have been a direction coming from off field. He's just a master at really playing the chess of rugby, isn't he? The fine sort of tactical play that just changes things in the course of 60, 90 seconds. Yeah, incredible stuff. Like, it's easy to hate, but I love to see it, isn't it?
Takes you back to 2003 Johnny Wilkinson a bit, isn't it? It's that kind of feeling, isn't it, I suppose? Yeah.
It's do whatever it takes rugby, isn't it? A win's a win, and there is something gratifying in that, satisfying in that.
2003 was not a good year for me. I was dating an English rugby player at that point in time. So
I was 6, so
was it Johnny?
Shut up, but Jesus Christ, I was 24. I would have been 20. No, I would have been older than 24.
I was 29.
Yeah, I would have been about 26, 27. So yeah, I was dating an English rugby player at that point in time. But yeah, not a great 2003. We split up soon after that. I don't think the rugby was anything to do with
anyone
that.
Famous? Anyone we know? Say Joe Marler.
It wasn't Joe Marler. He's like 15 years younger than me.
Steve Borthwick.
No. No, not hugely famous. Didn't get like an English cap, but was playing for a good team at that point in time and was playing professionally.
Oh. This could be a quiz, couldn't it, for our pod listeners? Who was dating?
Guess who Sam's dated? So I've dated some Welsh rugby players as well from way back when. I was really hot when I was younger. I was very thin and I was very cute. And I don't know what it is about my 5'2" little self, but the tall boys really liked me. John's the shortest person I've ever dated, and he's like 6 foot. But enough about my love life. So we've got that potential backlash on the weekend of that defeat to England. So I'm a bit scared.
Yeah, I think playing the All Blacks is scary enough anyway, but then, put last week onto it as well. We're on to a poor situation, aren't we? I mean, we will take confidence from the win against Japan. Tandy will know that there's a hell of a lot to work on, but it's one of those nothing to lose games for us, really, isn't it? Literally, if we get spanked, it's what everybody expects. If we lose by a couple of points, it'll be surprising. And if we win, then it'll be a public holiday.
If we win, will the last person in Wales please turn the light off? Because I think we'll all die.
Yeah, we've got our one win, and the way I sort of live as a Welsh rugby fan now is that that resets a 16 game counter every time, where it can't be as bad as it was however long ago.
It's never going to be
Yeah.
that bad
So
ever
right,
again.
day one.
Don't say that. Don't say that. We said
How
that about
many
20
days
years ago.
since we've had an incident? We need one of those signs, don't
Yes,
we?
yes, yes.
Um,
But
I
no,
love
I've
that.
lowered my expectations. They are through the floor. And then I can be happy afterwards and not depressed.
Is it a 3 a.m. job in a nightclub?
No, definitely not. It'll be nursing myself to sleep on the sofa,
You don't know what I
crying,
mean by a 3 a.m. job in a nightclub, isn't it? Do you?
opposed to the surface value meaning of those words. No. What does
No,
that mean?
it's 3 a.m. 3 a.m. You're in a nightclub. You need someone to latch on to, so you just latch on to whatever's available.
Okay.
Only ever the dregs left in a nightclub at 3 a.m. Not
Yeah.
that I ever went home at 3 a.m. because the clubs all I that I always used to go to kicked me out at 5 or 6. So
See, I
do you know
never
what I
went
mean?
out to Pull. I was never on my radar on a night
I
out.
didn't either.
If I'm going out, it's for, a good time with the boys, good time with
I'm
my
not
mates, and lots of
yeah, no,
drinking.
I never did that, but people would always like I'd always be chatty. And like with ADHD, you're gonna go away for like to the bar or whatever, and you're gonna come back with 9 new friends and a traffic cone or something.
Yeah.
So I'd always just kind of meander. I drop into these situations, but I kind of am looking forward because I love the spectacle when the All Blacks roll into town. Um, and I love that they bring and that joy of seeing them play. But then it does scare me that we're going to get the backlash of the weekend. Um, so we'll have to see what goes on. Obviously, Saturday is our last game of this international window where we've got a full squad, because after that we say bye bye to 13 players. They go back to England, they go back to France, and
God
we are
help
then
us.
scraping the barrel against South Africa.
God help us the following week.
And we're
Goodness
seeing more
me.
and more bloody Ospreys getting called up, which is fantastic for them, but we're going to be a depleted side come first game of the second block of the
Yeah,
URC.
Yeah.
they've already broken my boy Jack, which I'm not happy about.
I know, I know.
Like 20 weeks he's looking at being out,
Mm.
Yeah.
and I don't want to sound scary. That is like 5 months. That could be that if he's not fit and his contract's at the end of the year, we might not see him again if he goes somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yes. But at
That would
least it does
devastate
mean
me.
that we are almost guaranteed to see at least one of Morgan Morse or Harry Deeves probably on the
Yeah.
bench for that
Sliding
game, which
doors
will
and that.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, which will be very nice for one of them.
I'm so happy
I,
for
I,
them.
I really want it to be Harry, but it's Morgan Morse. Morgan Morse should have got a cap already. It's an absolute sin that he hasn't. I know he's only young, but
Yeah.
they delayed him from that tour. He didn't do the under 20s as a result either. He's missed out on rugby.
He has, yeah.
Give him a cap, please. I'm begging you.
Well,
Yeah.
well, Wales Online are campaigning for him to be unleashed from the start on Saturday, and they want him to
Yeah.
start at 8.
Yeah.
Well, honestly,
Uh,
in
We've got
in
to
in last
lose.
weekend's game, he was probably the kind of player that we needed on the pitch to just break things up a little bit, because we weren't getting much penetration, were we? And we know what he can do. And then he has the pace to finish as well, which you need with some of those
Yeah.
speedy Japanese backs. I think he
yeah.
would have been the perfect player to bring on off the bench.
We imagine him
Talking of
and Deeds. I mean, Japan played such a high tempo game.
Yeah.
Morse and Deeds would have just lapped up because they're
they just
energized bunnies, aren't they?
nothing.
They just go and go and go
Yes.
and go. So them in the back row Saturday would have been perfect to
And
Yeah.
maybe got some
counteract that.
turnovers.
Yeah,
Maybe got
Yeah.
some
exactly.
turnovers because
I
everybody's been raving about Alex Mann, and he was fantastic, absolute workhorse. He was everywhere doing everything, bar the job that you want an open side to be doing. He didn't fill that
Exactly.
that that Jack
didn't do it.
Morgan
Yeah.
gap. Did we get any turnovers at ruck time?
2, I think. I don't think it was
Yeah, and I don't think
many.
either came from him, did they?
Yeah, two
Um,
turnovers I wrote down.
yeah.
Um, Talking about speedy Japanese players. No, when you're not thinking, I just
frequently.
turned to
Yeah.
John and I went, God, they're nippy little bastards, aren't they? And he went, you can't say that. And I was like, no, I can't say that. I said, oh, they're very speedy. No, when you're just not thinking and it falls out of your mouth and you're like, any other team that would be okay to say about,
Yeah.
not the Japanese. So I had a lesson in thinking
Think
before I
before
speak
you
on
speak.
Saturday, which, as someone in work reminded me yesterday, I got no filter, so I really got to like stop and think sometimes.
But at least you said it just in the confines of your own home and to a few dozen listeners on a podcast now as well. So.
Yeah, obviously, you know, really, yeah. But I just so pleased for Harry Deves, so pleased. They said lovely things about him on Scrum 5 last week as well, about how he's such a nice fella. So there will be nobody left.
Ben Warren called up today as well.
Yes. Yeah,
for the Ospreys.
So Robert,
and probably will likely feature as well in at least the second game. Well, by second game, I mean the fourth game.
So
yeah.
He's got, you know, and I think it's good they're bringing them in now. So they've got 2 weeks to bed in with the squad.
Although I did, I think James from the other Ospreys pod said the other day that he saw him training the week before. Yeah, so he's been in camp longer than what's been let on.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of Jedi mind trickery, though, is there really? Yeah. So that's our look ahead to the All Blacks. In conclusion, we're all scared, but I will enjoy.
Score predictions? By how many?
45 at least.
35.
I mean Wales. Wales by how many?
I love that, and if you can get a good bet for that, put a $5 on for me.
Okay, I'll check Dragon
I don't know
Sport
what the
later.
odds would be, but will I have enough to quit work or have some plastic surgery? What's the deal? Do you think I'd get good odds?
I'll message you later.
Just want a bit of Botox on my lips done, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to mention Scotland, Argentina too much because John is sad.
And he's in earshot, is he?
He's downstairs. He wasn't here to watch it. I was. But he was raging when he got home. And I can totally see why. Because...
Was it 28 unanswered points?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. With a 21-point-0 lead. It's pretty spectacular.
Kinghorn was amazing. We'd love Kinghorn if we could. I thought Finn had another really good Finn game, and there were some really good performances, but they just totally let themselves. Their heads went.
Scotland do have this thing, don't they, where they can't really often do a full 80-minute performance.
No.
They have a good first half, or they have a really good second half, and claw back some ground or claw back a win. They never seem to string a full 80 together in just like a really dominant performance.
No.
We're not in a position to sling mud, but it is, you know, if this is the best that Scotland can achieve in their best ever period with the best ever crop of players, are they not really destined for much? I guess not.
Just use this as a point of context to say they have 2 regions. They have some amazing players. Welsh Rugby Union, please take note.
And what lost them the game? The differences in bench qualities coming onto the pitch in those final throws. Scotland have the quality in 2 teams to put out a fantastic 15, but the guys that come on behind them aren't in the same league.
Not that level.
No.
Not that level. And we are forgetting.
Sorry, Sam. Just talking about the evil union as well. One thing I did love going back to our game was at full time where Steve Tandy turned to go out towards wherever, the stairs or whatever.
And Dave
Reddin was stood there, and he literally stopped in his tracks, didn't about turn and went back to where he started. I thought, as a metaphor for Welsh rugby and what everybody thinks of Dave Redden at the moment, I
Blah.
thought that was superb. Sorry to
Um,
disturb that. This just
it
came to
did
me.
that did tickle me as well. That did really, really tickle me. But I think we are forgetting that Argentina are six in the world. They have beaten All Blacks, they've beaten South Africa, they've beaten Australia. I found a really interesting thing out the other day. Pumas are not native to Argentina.
No, I heard this
Mm.
as well.
So they're called Los Pumas, but it was originally a jaguar on their kit. But someone, whoever it was, didn't realise it was a jaguar and thought it was a puma, and that's not why they're now called the Pumas. And their badge has been changed accordingly. I found that out the other day. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was a South African touring team, isn't it? Didn't know what a puma
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Didn't know what a jaguar was. Sorry, they'd never seen one,
So they
and
thought it was a
so
puma.
they thought it was a puma. Yeah.
Yeah. So top fact.
Mm.
It's
But
confusing. I mean, we're getting into biology now, but pumas, mountain lions, they all it's one of those animals that has about 20 different names
yeah.
according to different places across the Americas. I'm pretty sure there are like pumas in Argentina, but I don't think they maybe call them pumas. I think
Do they
that's
call
the
them?
thing.
And puma's
Do they call them
black.
jaguars?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Sam. They've got the names are all so mixed up. Um, but like puma, mountain lion, screaming cat, they've got so many different names, and it's all like the same species, which is just like Panther pantherus or something like that.
Hmm.
Cool.
Anyway.
Tune in
Yeah,
again next week. We'll be looking at
I know.
penguins.
Next week we're looking at
Yeah, there
variants
we
of
go. Yes, there are
lions.
pumas in Argentina with populations found throughout the country, particularly in Patagonia. They are known to inhabit various landscapes, including forests, deserts, and mountains.
The
So there
question
you
is,
go.
would I be able to have one as a pet if I lived out there? If I
Don't think it'd
hand-reared it
last
from a
very long.
baby, would I be able to like,
No.
Depends if you value your face, I suppose, because you probably lose
don't
it pretty
know.
quickly.
Yeah.
I got a dog who's mental, who's jumping up by here now. He's got a turkey treat dog. Um, but other news before we get on to the shit show that is continuing to be Welsh rugby. New competition announced. So autumn internationals next year and summer internationals, very, very different. We've now got the northern and the summer hemisphere competitions where the home autumn internationals will be the same. Um, but in the summer we kind of don't go on tour in one place. We move around a little bit. So in the summer, Wales are going to play Fiji, Argentina, and South Africa across July. And then in November, we got Japan, New Zealand, and Australia. And then the last weekend in November, there's going to be various finals that are played in London. So they're going to be ranked from 1 to 6. So 6 will play 6, 4 will play 4, and blah, blah, blah. So be interesting to see how that works itself out.
Hmm.
I suppose it makes it easier with autumn internationals and summer internationals. More so for autumn because you've got your autumn windows where people are not going to be eligible and stuff. So hopefully this will make it a little bit easier for players who are playing outside of their country to have the time to
Yeah.
play. So watch this space really. We'll see what's coming.
Yeah, I like it. It's going to
It,
bring a bit of cohesion to the global game, I suppose, isn't it? It's plus it makes those games a bit more competitive. I mean, you could
Amazing.
argue it's just another
Yeah.
competition we're going to come 10th in or whatever, but
yeah.
12.
Plus, you say about cohesion, but it's another pretty exclusive competition with a limited number of the same teams participating, with
yeah,
no
it's the elite again,
promotion,
isn't it? So it's,
relegation, no opportunity for other teams, third tier nations to progress. and
Don't
make
joke
the
about
most of that.
13 nations. That was almost us on Saturday. So
Well, yeah, that's why I'm doing it in quotes, because when we're there, I'm gonna not use it. Um, yeah, so I guess I don't. It's another attempt to just sort of package something up and try and make it exciting by making it a thing and putting the word nations in there because they love putting the word nation in everything. Um,
I haven't heard
but
anything about will there be a second tier of that competition as well? Is like in the
don't think
Six
so.
Nations, they play Six Nations and Six Nations second tier nations or whatever. It'd be good if
No,
they
they've
did
Not
not
that
something
I've heard
similar
of.
with.
said, but I do feel aggrieved for the likes of Georgia and other teams where they get their bite at the cherry with a World Cup. But I do think that something like this would perhaps allow them to level up
Yeah.
a little bit.
Because
What
what
we've
chance do they have of playing quality opposition in those 3 years in between World Cups,
Mm.
bar
none
Scotland coming and playing in your country, which they love to seem to go and just like dominate on
easy win there.
objectively worse teams
Yeah,
than themselves.
because then the
Yeah,
Um,
next World Cup is 24 teams as well, isn't it? So there's a great likelihood that there's going to be some very, very lopsided results in that World Cup because your poorest teams in that World Cup are not going to be teams like Uruguay and teams like that we've seen in recent
yeah.
World Cups. It's going to be Spain and Germany and
yeah,
teams like that coming into it who probably will be playing some of these tier one nations for the first time in their history.
So they need to be
yeah,
building up the base in the meantime, don't they? And this would have been
Yeah,
an opportunity to do that.
you've sold me, Rod.
Rugby's quite a small sport, isn't it, globally?
Yeah.
There's not a huge number of teams that play the sport. So trying to just get those at the bottom contributing a bit more,
yeah.
and
Expand play base.
it'd only be a good thing, wouldn't it? And it would pay
Yeah,
dividends when the World Cup comes around because it would just be
yeah,
a better competition all round.
absolutely.
So
But
changed my mind, Rod. Awful
yeah,
I
decision.
don't know, maybe I'm just being
Hate it.
negative.
being a
Yeah,
negative Nelly.
I guess on a fundamental level, like we play all these teams anyway at these times of year,
Yeah.
and I just didn't understand why it was necessary. Just making a big thing out of it instead of just having the sort of friendly rivalries of the international windows out of season.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I
But
suppose the
hey ho,
TV rights will
money in
bring
it,
more money.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Of course it is. Of course it is. It's all about, it makes the world go round at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But let's rip that sticking blast off. So should we start with good news first? Good news, Ospreys announced today their tie-in with the university at St Helens. So they will be very much looking to provide professional elite rugby sport to the university to see players coming through. What I liked about it was that they said they were going to look after the rugby side of things, but also ensuring that the players get an education, which will see them post career. All in line with the redevelopment at St Helens and all in line with the International Sports Science Park. So I think that is a fantastic announcement that's been made today. I think it's beneficial for both the university and for the Ospreys. And I think we've seen, I know Hartpury's not on the same level, but we've seen how that works between Hartpury and
Well,
Gloucester.
that's what I was going to ask you two. What's this akin to? What's it equivalent to? Is it as big as obviously Hartpury and that system has been developing for a very long time, and it's not going to be nearly as big and as developed. But is that the sort of thing that they're replicating?
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think it's giving the talented players who are perhaps within the pathway within the Ospreys region, giving them the ability that if they're applying to universities, then they get a space within Swansea so they can continue that player pathway and that player development. And it's not to the detriment of their higher education or their degree.
Mm.
So I'm not saying that, you're going to be, as thick as anything. And it's not going to be like America where, yeah, great, you're an NFL star, so you'll get a free pass into any college that you want. They're obviously going to have educational standard, but there's going to be that opportunity there for them to have support. And I think funding to be able to continue studying at home whilst actively having elite rugby input into their career. And obviously having the pathway in. I think Mike Ruddock's got a lot to do with that as well, because that was something that he was very keen and involved in when he came back over from Ireland. And I think it's a way of keeping our talent in Wales, ensuring that their needs educationally and rugby wise are met across the board. I think it's fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, it's a really, really good idea.
And what goes unsaid in the article is the subtle positive signs they give in reference to St. Helens and the
We are
redevelopment there.
developing St. Helens. It speaks volumes for me by using that phrase. We are. It's a very definite statement.
It's a win-win for us, isn't it? It's sort of minimal work, I think, for the region, but we know we're in a position where we have to grow our own players and we have to develop players through the system ourselves. And the SRC isn't really cutting it at the moment in terms of bringing players through to regional levels. This is another opportunity to find a different route in. So all good.
I ain't got a problem with anybody living here and playing here, like they tried to do with Lewis Rees-Zammit, because he was in Hartpury for so long. He was almost qualified by residency to play for England. England was sharking after him. Do you know what? I ain't got a problem with us doing that for anybody. Coming and playing in Swansea for 3 years.
Like Max Nagy. Yeah.
Exactly. So really, really positive news. Obviously, other positive news.
I was just going to say, it's also really nice to see the club being proactive and just carrying on business as usual and setting up new relationships and solidifying the foundations of the Ospreys as an organisation, putting some things in place that will essentially tie into educational services, community, that sort of thing, that just make it a bit more difficult to shaft us on when the time comes.
Yeah, this is a commitment to a long-term project, isn't it? This isn't going to bear fruit next year, the after. We're talking, a few years to embed this. And as you say, it's great that we are looking at 3-4 years ahead from now, and being positive that there will be a team playing out of St. Helens at that point. So, all power to them.
We've got to carry on as business as normal with certain things. Obviously it's more difficult with player retention. There's a lot of uncertainty with player contracts coming to an end at the end of the year. But I think if players can see that there's still business as usual going on in the background, and that Ospreys are trying their level best to put themselves in pole position, that gives a little bit of reassurance there as well, that those in charge of the region are genuinely trying their best to fight for the survival of the region. And I think that's really good news. Again, I think there's nothing finer than the fact that we've had players called up. They could have easily called up Tommy Revel instead of Deeves. They called up Deeves. They called up Ben Warren. So again, fantastic accolade for the Ospreys that they're bringing those players in. So I think that is something that we can be really positive about, with that kind of feel good vibe. And I just think when we're back to business as normal now at the end of the November with regards to the region, we continue showing up, we continue going and watching and cheering, getting the banner, Rod smirking, Sam's on her high horse.
No, I was smirking at Mark using the same international symbol that we use in our house for a cup of tea, please.
Please. I'll have a cuppa. But just keep going out, get a banner, just do whatever. Like, have a bit of anarchy. I love a bit of anarchy. But we've had some. I'm glad we didn't record last night, because it came out yesterday that Dragons had their meeting with the Welsh Rugby Union yesterday and they walked out after 10 minutes. Now, Batrus and co do not strike me. I know Batrus wasn't there, but other people were there. They don't strike me as the type of people who are going to, they signed the PRA. So they don't strike me as the type of people who are just going to up and walk out of a meeting unless there's something very, very, very not right on that discussion table.
Yeah. Well, they're savvy operators as well. They're business people, aren't they, at the end of the day? Buttress is now with OVO Energy. Before that, he set up Just Eat or one of those food delivery services. So, he's pretty savvy and he probably knows bullshit when it's being fed to him through a funnel. So, and I know you said it wasn't him there himself, but, the team and the operation that he's running is going to be operating with the same kind of scrutiny. So, yeah, it speaks absolute volumes that people in their position who've got that security that we haven't are still so blindly enraged by what they're hearing and what's been said in those negotiations. In the first few minutes of those negotiations, apparently, is pretty entertaining.
I mean, good time to finish your cup of tea or have a biscuit. I'm hoping they put biscuits on.
So, I mean, sorry, so I'm looking at it from the outside. You think of all the regions, they would be the ones who would be wanting to get into bed with the union the most. They've already got a good relationship. They've signed the PRA. Yeah. They seem to be a favoured region in terms of, geographically where they are. So, for them to do that puts them in a position of opposition that they don't need to be in. They could the best thing for them to do is to stay stum and just sort of go on with it. But clearly, like you said, whatever was said riled them to the point where they couldn't even stay quiet, really. But yeah,
I mean, we know how flippant the WRU is under Dave Red, and they could come out tomorrow now just to make a point and say, right, we're having Cardiff is the Eastern Club, and then Ospreys are going to be the Central one, and Scarlets in the West.
Don't know, do you?
Yeah. RGC be back in the mix.
Might as well get a Magic 8 ball out and be like, what are they going to do today? So it's come out that they're now looking to centrally contract every single player. They're looking to centrally contract the coaching staff, the backroom staff, just centrally contract everybody. They will ultimately choose where they go, where they play, so they will be able to move them round the board like pawns on a chessboard. That is not what anybody wants. Players, fans, nobody wants that. But then came the kick in the teeth that, the investors are going to have to put in at least 1 to 1.5 million a year to satisfy COVID loans. And they're going to have to pay 50% of their concessionary, so their food and beverage and their profit that they make. So you're telling these people who have invested because they love rugby that they're not going to be involved in any rugby making decisions, and they've got to hand over 50% of their profits whilst giving you 1.5 million if they are making profit. So 2 seconds.
These people want to feel like they're playing fantasy rugby on a grand scale, don't they? Having those decisions over on-field matters, things that impact the rugby on the pitch. If you take that away, it's just not an attractive prospect, is it? It's purely you could have somebody in who's completely. You may as well have somebody in who's completely disconnected from rugby at that stage. Somebody who's made their money in fashion or cars or whatever, and just have them come in and bankroll the operation, because that's all they're asking for, isn't it? It's just a blind bankroller that they'll will just give sort of free flow of cash to whatever the WRU's demands are.
Yeah, well, it's like Wrexham was there with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhaney. When you watch the documentary, they have a say in transfer policy. They, have players identified to them that they'll then say, oh yeah, we'll have him, I've heard of him. It's literally, as you say, fantasy football. And what I don't understand is what the union have done in the past to make us believe that they can run what they're planning to run. to be able to run the entire, well, to run a cohesive union in itself, they've not managed to do. But then to want to take over all rugby operations across all 3 regions or 4 regions, whatever we're going to have, and be in charge of all decision making, there's no track record of them having been successful in what they're supposed to do in the jobs they're supposed to do now. To think that they can cope with doing all these other things that they're now saying they're going to be in charge of as well. And Dave Reddin, the saviour of Welsh rugby, can't do all that by himself. If he's supposed to be the man that's going to save us all, he can't do that by himself. And who on earth is there else in the union with a track record of being able to achieve what they're trying to achieve? It's just madness. And then you add the money side of it as well, and you think, well, yeah, why?
Yeah,
makes no sense
You're
whatsoever.
basically asking them to open like a McDonald's franchise or something.
Yeah,
that's essentially what it is. And nobody invests in any kind of sport really to make money. No sports team really makes money. Where you can be the best Premier League football or whatever, people don't invest to make money. They don't, because you don't get anything out of it. But I think for me, it's really, really stupid expecting that these business people, and they are business people, they're not just some, even Peter what's his face at Cardiff, massive business, massive business. These people are not stupid. Like Lance's background of where he's worked, he's not a dummy. He's not just some idiot who's walked off the street like on your average committee man in your local rugby club. They're used to dealing with millions and billions of pounds and dealing on these big stages. So
he's treating it too much like football, isn't he? There's not going to be a multi-billionaire Malaysian person who's never stood foot in Wales who wants to buy the Ospreys out because he sees it as a profitable exercise. Because it won't be, particularly when you're then giving 50% of your profits back to the WRU. It's a wild proposition. The only reason, you're right, Sam, the only reason anyone gets involved is because they got a personal connection, or they love the product, they love the rugby. Then, what in the case of Y11, is the owner's father was from the Swansea area and was a fan of the Whites, and they've got that connection. And they're just removing that element of the pie. I don't know why anybody would want to do this.
Y11 see it as their legacy within the Swansea area because they are from Swansea. They see this as their legacy. And this is what annoys me when all the rumours are going around about Y11 are interested in Cardiff. Y11 have got no connection to Cardiff at all whatsoever. They don't. And, I think as much as I'd love them to come out and be like, oh my God, this is nonsense, they are of the royal family school of thought is never complain, never explain. And I think if they change tack now and start coming out and saying this, then they're changing, people are going to get suspicious because like, oh, well, you've never commented to rumours before. So whatever they do, someone's not going to be happy. And I just think the way that all this has been handled has been painful, or is continuing to be handled, is painful for absolutely everyone. Fans, investors, members of staff, players. You can see how disenfranchised people are now with Welsh rugby, seeing the crowds for Argentina and Japan. I've never been able. I could go on to my Ticketmaster now, and I could buy a ticket for New Zealand and South Africa.
Yeah.
Going back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you'd have to know someone. You'd have to be willing to give a kidney. You wouldn't get it. You just wouldn't get a ticket.
No,
and this is absolutely, like, this is where it's wrong. You've taken something and you've just, it was broken. It is broken. We can't deny that. But you know what? there's that thing in Japanese thing where you take something that's broken and you fix it with gold. You don't just throw the bloody thing away and start from scratch. It seems like Welsh Rugby Union are just prepared to press the nuclear option
Yeah.
without, this is not an island on Animal Crossing. Can't just flatten your island and start again. It's too important for that.
Yeah.
I still owe money to Tom Nook, by the way. Been owing Tom Nook money for the past 20 years, Animal Crossing. He's such a money laundering raccoon get. It's unreal. If you don't play Animal Crossing,
You've lost me in rod now.
What I'm saying.
I've played Animal Crossing, but I'm not that deep into the lore.
I was going to ask as well, I mean,
seriously.
the union have just finished supposedly the biggest consultation in the history of sports. Why not mention any of this financial aspect in terms of the COVID loans during that consultation period to be transparent around what was to come? I mean, this hasn't just suddenly happened this week. They would have known about this while that consultation period was going on. So why not talk about it? Why not be open to talk about open transparency?
Because the PRA dealt with the COVID loans, and the PRA was going to, Welsh Rugby Union were going to take those COVID loans onto their books. No talk of repayment. So what's the difference now? Something somewhere is not adding up. So you either need to come out and be balls to the wall and turn around and say, right, we're in a mess. We're in a state. This is what we've got to do to solve it. Or just be like, right, we think, I just don't get what's going on behind the scenes to make it the nuclear option, the only option that we've got.
Well, the union seem to be constantly blindsiding themselves, which doesn't make any sense. They could have 1 week they'll say one thing, and then the following week, oh, this has happened. We weren't expecting
if they
that.
don't know what they're doing, then there's no way that we can know what they're doing. So maybe it's a an insane tactical play.
It's just nuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I'm genuinely, I'm reaching to try and find an answer or try and like figure it out in my head and be like, right, okay, I think this is what's happening. I think this is what's going on.
There's going to be plenty more time.
And genuinely, I think these are the type of situations where you either need to shut up and get everything in a row behind the scenes and just come out and say, this is the option. And if anybody questions it, then you've got an absolute answer for everything. You've thought to the nth degree you can answer anything, or you just, I don't know.
There's going to be plenty more time to talk about all this. So let's.
I know. It's just
not
boring.
Make ourselves any more stressed.
No, I don't need stress in my life, if I'm being honest. Got enough stress of that with my old girl at the minute, to be fair. But my mother's now living the dream, lads. I bought her a new telly in the sale last weekend. 55 inches, soundbar.
Nice.
She's loving life.
Bradley Walsh's head has never been so large on a screen before.
Do you know what? Don't know, right? Because she's obsessed with quizzes. My mother, I love her. I absolutely love her. But my mother did not go to school a lot when she was younger. And there is a good reason for this. My mother was one of the first people in the UK to have a mastoid bone taken out in her ear in the 50s. Because it was massively infected. So my mother's got no urine in her right ear. And very little. She's got about 40% urine in her left ear. So because she was quite ill as a child, she didn't really go to school a lot. And then when she was 18, 19, she had a really bad brain infection. She nearly died. And she forgot to do things like, she had to learn to walk again, reading, writing, the whole thing. So my mother's spelling now is shocking. So if you say like to my mother, oh, we're going to KFC, we're actually going, or to her, we're going to JFK. And JFK was a J-Lo. She's just bonkers, right? But she loves a quiz. My mother is banging a Trivial Pursuit.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely banging. Wins every Christmas, right, with the most random shit ever. Like, she's amazing. She watches The Chase. She loved Eggheads when Eggheads was on. And I'm sitting there and watching her, and she's answering these questions, and it genuinely amazes me that someone so stupid, but she just remembers. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, you have literally blown my brain. Like, literally blown my brain. But she's living
There's
the
also
dream.
a very specific skill to quizzing, particularly multiple choice, isn't there? There's so much like um, elimination of options,
Mm.
Yeah,
rather than actually, knowing. As somebody who loves a quiz myself, half the time it is just working out what it's
yeah,
not, and that requires its own level of sort of intuition and skill.
Mm.
So maybe she's good at that as well.
absolutely. Um, but this kind of brings me to my rando of the week, because I know you love a quiz, Rod. Monday night in our house is quiz night.
Quiz night. Yeah.
So BBC Two, we've got Mastermind at 7:30, Only Connect at 8 o'clock, and then we've got University Challenge at
Yeah.
8:30.
Hmm.
Now, I know what my Mastermind subject would be. It would be Kylie Minogue hits or something like that, probably. Um, Only Connect is one of those quizzes. I don't know if you've seen it, Mark,
I have, yeah.
but unless you know the connection or the answer, it's impossible.
Hate it. It's not
And
fun.
No,
I love
doesn't
it
make any
because
sense.
as an ADHDer, my brain sometimes works in very weird ways.
I
So
can get
last
the odd
night,
thing on there, but it's just largely frustrating. And so, oh, what's the word? Um, it's like, oh, can't think of the word I'm trying to go for, but so just like out the box,
it
the
is, yeah, you've
connections are
got to,
so
it's very
tenuous at
random.
times. Yeah.
It's really random. Now, I had a good night on Only Connect last night because there was stuff on there that I just knew it was amazing. John loves University Challenge.
Mhm.
I'm not so much of a fan of University Challenge because that's not how my brain works.
That's more
However,
of me, that is. I
what I
like
do
that.
like doing, when they're all introducing themselves and they go, "Hi, I'm blah blah blah,"
Mm.
I usually put something on the end, and it's usually something quite mean. So there was a girl on there last night who was called Tong, and I went, "My name's blah blah blah, 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 blah. I'm otherwise known as Ting." John's like, "Yeah, no, that's not great." And then there was a guy on there who was like, "And I've never had a girlfriend." And then there was someone else who's like, "Oh, I own a blow up sex doll." So I'm quite mean because they make me feel inferior about myself, if I'm being honest. I'm a bit of a bet. But you know what? Last night, I was really proud of myself. I had 7 questions right on University Challenge.
That's very good going.
It was all on pop
What
music and musicals.
was it? Okay, yeah, yeah.
Um,
When you get a category that just really works for you, it's so nice, isn't it? Doesn't
They
come around
did not.
often.
They did not know about musicals or pop music. So I'm there and I'm like, I'm more
Yeah, I
clever
bet.
than them. And John's like, they've got no pop culture skills at all, Sam. So you're obviously going to answer these questions.
Yeah.
Um, but it got me thinking then, if I was going to apply to go on a quiz show, what would I kind of apply to go on? And I do think it would be Only Connect. So what would you two like to go on?
I
uh,
love the speed round, sort of just being fired questions at you. So like the speed round in the chase. So anything with that sort of thing. Um, if you want a really easy go of it, tipping point an hour earlier. It's honestly like they take the
Stretch
level of
me.
the questions from adult questions to Trivial Pursuit ages 5 to 12 or something. There is a definite step down in like difficulty level between the two programs. So if I wanted an easy time tipping point, but yeah, I love University Challenge. I'd like to be on in a group as like the go-to just for the sciencey questions or something like that. Just being that like know-it-all where if something comes up of a particular subject matter, everyone just like looks at you.
Nominate.
Yes.
Nominate Ranka Davis.
Yeah.
But it always makes University Challenge always makes me think, and Mark, you probably know this, it always makes me think of the young ones.
Oh god, yeah.
Scumbag. One of the questions in Only Connect last night was actually a question about quiz questions. And in Young Ones, they went on University Challenge, and they went to Scumbag College, and they were against some university or other. And there was like Emma Thompson, Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, and they were all like really posh kids from like Oxford or Cambridge, and they're all there and going fnoff. If you haven't seen it, it's well worth it. And one of the answers was Toxteth or Grady, and that's how I knew in Only Connect what that answer was. Totally random. But what would you go on, Mark?
Rod, what was your bottom level quiz that you just mentioned there?
Tipping point.
Tipping point. Right. I'm going to drop you several levels below that now, okay, with my choices. I don't think these even are classed as quiz shows, to be honest. They're probably more game shows than quiz shows, but I'm dropping you several levels. I've always wanted to be either the non-darts player on Bullseye,
Okay.
or my ultimate blankety blank.
I love blankety blank.
I don't
So I'm
know
dropping you
blankety
several
blank.
levels. They're not
Do
even
you
quiz
not?
shows.
No,
that's my
I know
level.
Bullseye. I've heard of blankety blank, but what's the gameplay? What's the aim of the game?
It's not even a quiz. You have to guess basically what the blank is in a sentence, and it could be absolutely anything. It's
Okay.
usually a bit fna.
It's a bit of a double entendre.
A bit of a double entendre kind of thing or whatever. Yeah, I want a blankety blank checkbook and pen, to the point I have actually gone on eBay and looked and see if you can buy them.
Really?
I want a
There are some
Bully.
really good obscure daytime ones as well. If you're ill and working from home and you just channel flicking, there's like Lingo. There is one with Ross Kemp, and it's called like The Bridge or something.
That's the one. Yeah, I've watched that. I could cope with that. I'd be all right with that one. Yeah,
that one's okay.
Because even I'm screaming at the contestants on that, saying, "How can you be so stupid?" And that's hardly University Challenge, is it? So
I like Pointless as well.
Yeah, Pointless is good as well. Although too much chatting. Like by the time the hour ends, they've asked about 12 questions.
And they get to come back, like, which is like, if you're out, you're out.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
But I also like Pointless because they're repeating the episodes so much that I'm beginning to know what the answers are.
You're getting them right now.
Yeah. But I just think
love a quiz though. Love a quiz. Love Trivial Pursuit.
I do like the quiz.
Me and Amy will sometimes sit there with the Trivial Pursuit question cards and not even play the game, just fire questions at each other.
Questions.
Yeah.
I've got a very niche set of knowledge, like really niche set of knowledge. Don't ask me anything science. Don't ask me any maths. Countdown, I'd be okay with the words, but I'd be totally screwed on the math section because I'm just number dyslexic. I just don't.
Me too. Words are my thing. Can't do numbers. Numbers
words.
get me a bit panicky sometimes.
Yeah. And John can do that and I can't. But no, Troy Hawke, the comedian.
No.
Yeah.
He's got like a little Hitler tash, purple smoking jacket, and he does like the Greeters Guild. So he did the one where he did when he welcomed the Welsh ladies rugby team in, and he just gives you compliments. But he's phenomenal at Scrabble. So he's just done one outside John Lewis, and he's like, "You're an 11, you're a 7," and they're like, "What?" And he went, "In Scrabble." He can literally work. He did it to me when I went to see him in Cardiff. So he told me what my Scrabble number was for my name. But he's just phenomenal with like Scrabble numbers, and really quick with it as well. So it's a skill. It is a skill. But that is my rando for the week. So Sam Berry, Rodri quite clever. Mark going vintage old school with blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. And it was always celebrities. So you'd have like 6 celebrities and you'd have 2 normal people there. And Lily Savage did it for a while, didn't she?
Yeah.
And he'd be like asking the question, then you'd have to go to the celebrities. And if you matched an answer, you'd win, and it was, as I say, usually a bit double entendre.
D-
But
don't get me started on celebrity versions of quiz shows, because they always dumb those down as well, just to make the celebs look
absolutely,
good. Like,
Yes.
celebrity catchphrase is the most basic thing in the world, and it really exposes some of them, because you could tell how much
they're
it's been
usually
dumbed down, and they're still clueless.
However, I'm now going to blow your little nerdy quizzy minds now, because you two are big quiz nerds and you love quizzes. I've actually been on a TV quiz.
No
shut up.
way.
Tell me more.
I was on Jackpot on S4C when I
Okay,
was about 2021.
amazing.
Okay.
And I won, I think it was about £1,000. I think it paid for a holiday
Nice.
anyway.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
lovely.
Mum's got the VHS at home if anybody wants to see it.
Really?
Then you can't.
I love that.
So I have actually been on a quiz show. So there you
That's
go.
awesome. Oh, well done. That's
I love
cracking.
that. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Our
That's
history
amazing.
teacher in school was constantly doing quiz shows. He was on The Chase. Um, I think he won quite substantially as a group. I think they won like 60, 80K, something like that.
That's insane.
Mr. Shuri, shout out. And I think he bought an RV or like a motorhome with it, and then
I
proceeded
love
to
that.
write it off.
Oh, I would not love that. Um, that's
Yeah,
insane.
that's fantastic though, Max. We have to
That's
dig
really
that
good.
out.
I love that. That's a cracking claim to fame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. And we had to
Hmm.
do cheesy waves. So at the start of every episode, they went through the contestants, and it was all recorded in the studios in Llanelli,
Yeah.
where they do henna and stuff and now whatever. And it was all done in one day. So we had to take like five sets of clothes, because one of these was on for 5 days consecutively
Yeah.
with people on it. So you had to change
Uh,
after every show recording. And then they'd go
uh,
around the next one, and then they go, and this is Mark. And on the last episode, he won £500. And he'd be like, hey,
okay. So they say the outfits change, but the hair stay in the exact same length.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's amazing. I love
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
That is
that's good fun.
absolutely banging.
was that with a live audience then?
Canned audience.
Was
Ah,
it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
canned audience.
ah,
Strange, yeah, strange experience actually. No, it was good fun though.
that's really good. I love that. That's amazing. That's a really good claim to fame. So that is us for this week. Um, we will be back next week.
To lick our
Possibly wearing,
wounds.
possibly wearing black, possibly in mourning. I might wear a veil over my face, but actually, no, I'm not going to wear a veil over my face because it's looking quite thin at the minute.
Or we could be celebrating wildly, couldn't we? After our first ever win over the All Blacks, or first win since 19 whatever it is, 50.
Let's not go too far.
You gotta hope of you and dream.
If you can't hope, then everything
One
is
win
lost.
against
Might as
Japan
well
has done that to me now.
You could argue that we've never been likelier because we've never been greater underdogs, and we've never been in a position to be, discounted by the All Blacks so much. They may not give this game a second thought and
Let's hope so.
leave
Maybe
themselves
surprise them.
exposed. Yeah.
Anybody got any drugs we could give the team before then? Something sprinkle on the Weetabix. Yeah, let's not. But that is us for this week. As always, wonderful speaking to you two. I am really surprised that neither of you mentioned my jumper.
Oh,
Trying
I've
to
just
remember it.
noticed. You've drawn attention to it now, so we're going to have to. How many Christmas films have you watched so far? What are we on, the 18th of November? To be fair, it is getting closer now, but how many, what's your movie count so far?
I love, oh God, it's so sad. So I like fantasy and really like action. So I've already watched Die Hard. It is not Christmas until Hans Gruber has gone off the Nakatomi Plaza in my house. But on the opposite hand, I am rather partial to a Hallmark Christmas movie. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. They've always got a happy ending. It's going to go Pete Tong and then it's going to be happy. I put them on in the background while I'm working. Mrs. Miracle's my favourite. I must have seen it about 9 times. But they're just easy to have on. But I love a good Christmas movie.
Last year, I told you to watch Klaus. Did you watch it?
Is that the cartoon?
Yeah.
I
Yes,
think I watched it with the kids in school last year. Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
So
I
good.
enjoyed it.
That's a very good film.
Nativity was on Saturday as well.
I know that's too early.
I
Too
love
early.
Nativity. If you've seen Nativity, Rod, Mr. Poppy's a tit, but he's amazing. And he literally gets him into so much trouble, and the kids are just banging. And it's one of those where I must have seen about 25, 30 times.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, just purely joyful to watch. I don't even mind, like, dude, where's my donkey, like the second and the third ones.
Oh, the third one stretches it a bit.
Third one's
And
bad.
then when you get to Nativity Rocks, then that's just beyond the pale. Don't go.
But they are worth a watch because they're proper little feel good, and the kids are banging.
I don't really have strong memories of sitting down and watching many films over Christmas growing up. We're more of a game family, so we play games and stuff instead, I guess, in the times that other people might be watching films and having a cutch on the sofa.
Yeah, we do. But I was always the youngest out of everybody, so I'd be shoved. I'm like 7 or 8 years younger than my nearest cousin. So I was never kind of allowed to get involved. So the babysitter was the TV. So I remember things like the original Santa Claus with Dudley Moore and all those kind of things, and the snowman. So I wasn't really allowed to get involved, if I'm being honest. So not in a mean way. They were just all really way older than me. Just weren't interested in playing with me and my Barbies. Well, not Barbies, even Cindy dolls. But that is us for this week. We will reconvene next week. We'll try and be positive Pollies. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Subscribers are slowly growing on YouTube. I think we're up over 165 now, which
amazing.
I am really proud of in a year. I'm really, really proud of. So keep following us. We love interacting with you all. And just have a banging week, like really enjoy your week. And then get to Saturday and cry.
Yeah. Come on, the boys.
Yeah.
I don't even know what would it be? I'm Liner whatever.
I'm Liner Bechgyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, Cymru.
I'm not even going to try it. I'm just going to say, go well, lads.
Cheerio.
Have a good week, everyone. Bye.